Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping right into something huge. What does it actually take to win at digital ads now that AI is in the mix? We're going to break it down by looking at a real-world masterclass as our guide to see exactly what skills you need to have in your toolbox. All right, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll get real about the big challenge AI has thrown at all of us marketers. Then we'll look at a specific solution, dive into the nitty-gritty of combining Google Ads with AI, and then see how to use data with GA4. And finally, we'll look at what it's like to actually learn all this stuff. Okay, so first up, let's talk about that feeling of just being overwhelmed. You know what I mean? The AI revolution has made digital advertising, super powerful, for sure. But man, it's also made it a whole lot more complicated to get right. I mean, AI is the buzzword of the decade, right? But the real trick isn't just knowing what it is. It's about actually using it to get results. How do you create campaigns that work, that don't just feel like you're setting a pile of money on fire? That gap right there, between the hype and the actual profit, that's the big hurdle we're all trying to get over. So, okay, that's the problem. What's the answer? Well, when things get this complex, sometimes the straightest line to getting good at something is, a really focused, structured path to learning it. And that brings us to the solution our source material points to. A really intensive 5-day training focused on Google Ads, AI, and GA4. The whole point is to take people who are maybe beginners or know a little bit and turn them into pros who can make decisions based on solid data. And what's really important here is that it's not about learning these things in silos, right? It's not just a box for ads, a box for AI, and another for analytics. Real expertise, that's where you weave it all together. You take your ad strategy, you power it up with AI tools, you measure it all with GA4, and then you get real personalized feedback to sharpen your skills. That's the whole package. All right, let's dig into those first two big pillars. Mastering the ad platforms we all know, but using AI as like a secret weapon, a force multiplier. And check this out. This really breaks down where AI isn't just theory, but where it's actually working for you. For Google Ads users, it's doing things like automating your bidding, which is huge, and even helping write your ads. Then, over in GA4, it's like a super smart data detective, finding insights and predictions in your data that, honestly, you'd probably never find on your own. So let's demystify one of these terms, smart bidding. What is it really? Well, think of it like this. You basically tell Google's AI, hey, I want to pay about this much for every new customer. And then you let it go to work. The AI handles all the complicated stuff, adjusting your bids for every single auction in real time to try and hit that goal for you. It's doing the heavy lifting. And this right here, this shows a huge shift in what our job as advertisers even is. You see, you're not just making one perfect static ad anymore. Nope. Now you're more like a chef's assistant. You give the AI all the ingredients, a bunch of headlines, a bunch of descriptions, and then the AI, the master chef, mixes and matches everything, tests out all these different combinations, and finds the perfect recipe to serve up to each individual user. It's pretty amazing. And look, if you want to be a master at this stuff today, you can't be a one-trick pony. It's not enough to just be good at search ads anymore. You need the whole toolkit. You got to know how to write killer text ads for search, how to create eye-catching visuals for display, how to make video ads for YouTube that people actually watch, and then how to use Performance Max to let AI run your campaigns across all of Google's channels at once. But here's the thing, making amazing ads, that's only half the battle. If you don't know what's working, you're just throwing stuff at the wall. You have to measure it. And that brings us to the other hero of this story, Google Analytics 4, or GA4. This is where we stop guessing and start knowing. So what's the big deal with GA4? Well, it's basically Google's brand new engine for understanding website traffic. It's built for how people actually use the internet today, jumping from their phone to their laptop and back again. But here's the really crucial part. It's designed for a future without cookies. So think about that. The people who master this now, they're going to have a huge advantage, able to see what's happening while their competitors are basically flying blind. And this really illustrates the core change. The old way of doing analytics was all about sessions. It's kind of like knowing that someone walked into your store. Okay, cool. But GA4, it tracks events. That's not just knowing they walked in. It's knowing every single thing they did, what they looked at, what they picked up, what they put in their cart. It gives you that complete unified picture of the actual customer journey, not just a simple visit. And this is why it matters so much. This is the payoff. When you really get GA4, you can tap into its built-in AI to do some incredible things. It can help predict which of your visitors are most likely to buy something. It can automatically flag weird patterns in your data so you don't miss them. It can even help you understand how people are converting, even when there are gaps because of privacy settings. You stop just reacting to what happened yesterday and start making smarter, proactive decisions about tomorrow. You know, all this tech is amazing, but a tool is only as good as the person teaching you how to use it, right? So for this last part, let's talk about the human side of things. Because who's teaching you and how they do it, that's every bit as important as what you're learning. So the source material points out that this particular masterclass is led by a guy named Najam Ahmed. And he's not just an academic, he's a digital marketing strategist whose expertise comes from being down in the trenches, doing this stuff in the real world for years. And when we say years, we mean it. We're talking over 23 years of professional experience. I mean, that's more than 2 decades in this field, which changes so fast. And in that time, he's apparently helped over 1,300 different businesses figure the stuff out. But you know, you can talk about experience all day. Maybe the most powerful thing to see is what someone who actually took the course has to say. This quote here from a participant, Sagi Helmi, it just nails it. It talks about that transformation from feeling confused and like you're wasting money to having the confidence and the clarity to actually take control and get real results. And it looks like there's a lot of flexibility in how you can learn, too. It's not one size fits all. They offer in-person sessions if you're in Dubai, live online classes so anyone can join, and even private training for a company's whole team. So when you boil it all down, the big takeaway here is that the real value in this kind of deep dive training isn't just getting a piece of paper at the end. It's about empowerment. It's about finally getting the confidence to handle this super complex field, to stop guessing and start making smart, strategic decisions based on data, the kind of decisions that actually move the needle. So we'll leave you with this question to chew on. In an age where AI is automating more and more of the boring stuff, what's the one skill that's going to define the marketers of the future? Maybe it's not just about knowing which buttons to push. Maybe the real game changer is mastering that perfect blend of human strategy and creativity with the raw power of AI. Now that's the frontier.